Welcome to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host today, joined by Tim, the Freedom Bear, O'Connor.
I'm here, Kevin. How are
Yep.
you?
Oh, living the dream. Living the
Yeah,
dream.
you sound like you might have the sniffles or something.
Yeah, a little bit. My voice is going to be a bit off. I'm probably going to be coughing. Tim's really going to be carrying this show, folks.
Oh,
It's
that's too much pressure, Kevin. I can't handle that.
you got this. You're ready for the big leagues, Tim.
I'm.
I'll just stay silent. I'll just let you go the whole time. But
I.
you got it.
The flop sweat's starting already. I told you about this. I don't like doing this show by myself. I got to have somebody helping me with the time, and somebody reeling me in from my crazy ranting. I need
I'll
feedback.
just
Your
play
face is
producer today.
feedback.
I'll
When
just
I
give
know
you the hand signals
I
and
can tell by the look on your face that I'm going too far, and then I can kind of dial myself back down a little bit. And it's good feedback to have that. You know what I mean? It's good. I need it.
yeah, no,
So,
I'll do my best to participate and also try not to be disgusting and hack into the microphone or blow my nose into the microphone and that thing.
perfect.
Yeah. But so we got a bunch of topics for y'all today. We'll talk about the city shutting down, well, not really shutting down, like curtailing a local community garden in Rochester. City and the state of New York banding together to do this. And we may also talk about another piece of local news related to like some drag queen story hour stuff happening in Pittsburgh. We got some
drag queens. They're all over the news.
We got some national stories. We may talk about the goat situation in
We got to talk
California.
about the goat. You know how the Congress people were seeing like, and it's a cop story, and I have police friends, but I always got to say this disclaimer. But like how the politicians were seeing underage girls twerking their butts. All I see is guys riding around in cars giving cops a hard time when they get pulled over. Like, do you understand the Constitution? You understand? I'm not giving.
Am I being
you
detained?
Is that detained? All the time?
That's your entire feed.
Yeah, when I'm on TikTok, I see. I don't know why that is. I think it's because I watch them to the end, and then I go look for the next part of the next chapter.
Yeah. No, I do watch some of those where it's like, all right, I watch the whole video. It's like, okay, where's part 2? Oh, there's like 7 parts to this.
Mm-hmm. Man, some people do it. Honestly, guys, TikTok is like really interesting. Without TikTok, I wouldn't know that Biden spokesperson got into a DWI car accident. No one would know.
Gosh,
Allegedly.
Allegedly. I don't see. Is it real news or fake news? Fake news pushed by the Chinese government.
Yeah, that's right. Could be.
All right. So we'll head in a sec and cover all those things. Of course, leave your comments if you want to participate in the show.
Now, an hour of clarity for exhausted people of our nation mired in toxic partisanship. Left versus right, us versus them. While we pay to keep our politicians fighting, how do we, the people, rise up and solve the great challenges of our time? We do it by embracing freedom and liberty. There may be no such thing as a free lunch, but this hour is as close as it gets. Welcome to A Free Solution.
All right. Welcome to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host today, joined by Tim, the Freedom Bear, O'Connor.
I'm here, Kevin. I'm here.
Yeah. And so welcome to all the folks who are listening online, of course, on the Free Solution Facebook page, Free Solution YouTube channel, Kevin Wilson pages, Tim O'Connor pages. We're live tonight, so make sure you leave your comments if you want to participate. If you're listening on WYSL, appreciate you. We're recording this on Wednesday night of all nights because I have a slight cold. Couldn't do it Tuesday, doing it today. But appreciate y'all listening. If you want to participate in the show as a commenter, you gotta watch the live shows online. That's how it is. That's how you gotta do it. But we appreciate you being
here. And we love it. We love it.
We do.
We live for it.
Yeah, 100%. So we got a few different types. We'll see how many of them that we actually get to during the radio portion of the show. We got some stuff happening in Rochester, stuff with the city and the state, like restricting a local garden. We'll talk a little bit about that. Maybe we'll get to the drag queen story hour stuff happening in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, we should talk about that a little bit, the drag queen story hour stuff. I think we should give everybody our take on it.
And then maybe after that, we'll transition smoothly into the Bud Light story. And
I can't wait. I can't wait to talk about the Bud Light story.
Yeah, but got a bunch of stuff. I don't know how much of what we're going to get to. There's a goat story in California we want to get to. There's the Twitter labeling NPR state affiliated media story too. We'll see what we get.
We'll get to all of it.
But I even want to talk about the Trump stuff. Like Trump stuff, like we talked a little bit about it.
We talked a little bit about it. We knew what it was going to be. We're right.
Everyone else
we
is
were
talking
right
about it.
Yeah, we were right. It is what it is. There would be things that perhaps he should be or should have been tried on, and this one looks like what it is. And guys, remember, if we had elected Lee Zeldin, Alvin Bragg would have gotten fired. That's the thing to remember about it.
In theory, if only.
That was one of his campaign promises that he would have been unable to keep from day one. Sorry.
Yeah. No, it wouldn't have happened. That's not how it works.
I know. Gonna get you laughing and coughing, and then
I know. Let's say, you get me going. I'm gonna have to mute myself and then edit the coughs out later. It's gonna be terrible.
I got this. I'll rant. I'll rant like a lunatic. It'll be fine.
Good. We're gonna give Tim free reign of the show. That's how it is.
I don't know if anybody really wants that.
It's like, no, don't do it. It's too much power.
Don't do it.
All right. So let's talk about the thing happening in Rochester. I think it's interesting. Like this is there's this organization called 490 Farmers that is like in Rochester, and it's kind of a unique situation. I used to live right over by where they are. Right. I used to live over on Averill Street in the city, and there's these like two big fields over there. Right. And there's just nothing there. Right. Like big empty field owned by the state of New York. It's kind of part of like 490. It's like just a side area that's part of the embankment for the like 490, which is like the big highway that goes through the middle of the city, right? That connects to the throughway. Okay. And so big empty field, nothing happening with it till a few years ago. Some folks got together and decided they wanted to use one of those spaces. There's kind of an east side and a west side for a garden. So
community
they started building
thing where they just kind of stake their claim and they go in and plant some corn or whatever.
No, they asked the state originally for like a permit. Like they did things. So there's a bunch of beds. There's some community type gardens. There's like a children's garden, and then there's like people who have their own beds that they tend and stuff. Plus there's a food pantry. There's like a water collection thing because there isn't really a water over to that site. So they got to collect water. There's a shed. There's some benches. They have a beehive over there.
Cool.
Yeah. So, like, and they use that so they can pollinate the plants and also educate people about about keeping bees. And, they do a handful of community events like seed exchanges and, like one of the organizations I'm involved with, you might hear the commercials for Southeast Area Coalition. They've done events with them in the past. Like they did a blind gardening event. That was pretty cool. And so they've done a bunch of nice stuff in the community. And so, but they've been wanting to expand. Like I said, there's an east side. They've kind of taken up a big chunk of the east side. They want to expand to the west side. And now the Department of Transportation is starting to say, no, maybe not.
So the Department of Transportation has authority over this field. Is that who owns it? Is that what's going on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So it's the State Department of Transportation. So we can blame Kathy Hochul again. Although I think there's some pressure from the city as well.
Yeah. Now, do you think it probably attracts a pretty unsavory element there with the gardening and I could see where it would just be overrun with, I don't know, derelicts, people looking for free food. Gardens. I mean, people looking for handouts. I don't know.
Sure, like it's a thing that happens, right? There's folks who are, homeless in the area, and I'll tell you, like there's been like an accusation of like, oh, this is attracting those folks to the area, right? And that they're staying nearby because of that food pantry, because of the garden, because some of them have like, beds are involved with it and stuff. But here's the thing. Again, I lived over there. I could see this spot well before the garden. There were people who were camping on this site. They would camp down between the fence and 490, and they would have campsites there. They really didn't bother people most of the time, but it's just always been a thing, right? You have a big open field in the middle of the city. People camp there, people hang out there, people try to live there, especially in the warmer months.
Look, homelessness is a real issue, right? And homeless people just like everybody else, they like infrastructure, Kevin. They see a bridge or something like that, they're gonna be near that area.
Yeah.
And a big open field, like I don't know, like why would a community garden be a problem? Like are the homeless people wandering up onto the road or something?
Not necessarily any more than normal. And again, I don't like there's some like implication that maybe it has something to do with that, but essentially the the state is saying, well, you have to get rid of your picnic tables, and you have to get rid of your food pantry, and you have to get rid of the water catchment system, and you have to get rid of the bees. And so now they're putting all these demands on something that was good, was thriving, was getting engagement with the community, was getting neighbors involved. And yeah, this is state land that nothing else is being done with. And I used to live in this neighborhood back until 2015. I was so excited that anything was happening there, because otherwise it was just like a place where people occasionally would set up tents and live, or just big open field that the city or the state would spend money to mow every like 3 months, and it would get nice and tall grass, and it would get filled with rats, and then eventually the state would mow it. But
yeah, well,
that's it.
Anything that lends itself to self-sufficiency and community action, like it just feels like the government's always got to step up and interfere with that. And I'm kind of sad for you guys.
Yeah, I'm bummed about it too. Like it's the fight isn't over yet. Like they're organizing stuff to like write to Chuck Schumer and the state of New York and the mayor, and like just kind of going after everyone. But like really, the Department of Transportation is going to be like the main ones making this decision, unless Kathy Hochul steps in a political sense. But state senators as well, like trying to get them involved. So I wish them luck. I hope they're successful. I think they do nice work. And for any like problems that they may or may not cause, like work with them on solving those problems. Don't like shut down an entire like community effort of people self-organizing and doing something nice with their neighbors. Like why does it have to come through the state? Are they jealous that they're not the ones running the programming? Like, come on.
Well, I'm gonna repoint at any time people wanted to foster a sense of independence and cooperation outside of state auspices. The state on state land that ostensibly we all own, the state has to mess with that, Kevin. We know that. Like they don't. It's just part of their programming, right? Like, oh, this could be a problem down the road. I don't know, man. It's nonstop, constant state interfering with individuals doing cool stuff.
Yeah, I agree. And again, I think they're hoping to be able to expand more into the west side too, which is again just an open field right now. And it's a shame that the state is acting like this, and destroying what is a nice thing. And I've seen stuff like that happen before. The state and city, threatening to destroy gardens over either paperwork errors or misunderstanding what's going on, or not wanting to deal with any potential problems, or letting people work out problems for themselves. Like it's just cleaner, it's easier, it's less liability for them to just say, forget it. Like just tear it up.
The state took a pretty hard aim at like gardening, even back when COVID first came out. Like it was literally illegal to buy seeds. Like it was.
Right. I know. Yeah. In some places it's weird.
Remember, taped them off. They were
like it was like in Michigan where they taped off the seed aisles because that wasn't an essential item.
Yeah, they did it. They did it around here for a day or two, and then they realized that was nonsense. That they shouldn't be doing that.
Doesn't make any sense. Why would we do that?
Why would you stop people from having a garden? Like,
nice outdoor activity you can do by yourself.
But it was strange times, brother. Strange times. Strange group of people we've got in charge. That's for sure.
Yeah, does happen. Go ahead.
So, anyways, I feel like we got the call out. If there's something you can do for this 490 project, for this community garden, get involved. Go to any events that they have. Help them participate, petitioning. Guys asking Chuck Schumer for help. All you got to do is promise him a few like video cameras and TV reporters, and he'll be there making a speech. So I don't know. Like you're gonna get his attention for sure. That's what I think.
Just something like that. They're reaching out to any politicians because it does end up being a political pressure thing, right? Like, doesn't seem like it's a policy oriented decision. It's probably more of a decision of like, these things might impose higher risk on us, so we're going to limit your activities. And if you don't limit these activities, we'll shut them down because we don't want to deal with it. And so I think political pressure in the other direction would, help move this. And so it's probably going to be state Senate mostly and executive branch in New York State and the mayor.
Yeah, I mean, community gardens, the root word is communism, but I get people trying to stand against them. But still, like, look, people in the city, you need to learn some skills. A community garden is a good place for that to happen, really. So this is stop the state overreach. That's it. Knock it off.
Be nice. Yeah, let them do their thing. Come on.
Yeah.
All right.
So how are we doing on time, Kevin? Because we've got this big thing to explode about Cedar.
Cedar?
Cedar.
All right.
Cedar, the goat's name.
Caesar the goat. All right. Yeah, we'll talk about Caesar the Seas goat.
Yeah. So, guys, basically what we've got going on in Shasta County, California, a little girl named, they don't name her. Her mom's name is Jessica Long, and her daughter was 9 years old at the time, only referred to as EL, attended the Shasta District Fair. The fair includes a junior livestock auction, and so Jessica and her kid put Cedar up for auction, and I guess the bidding on this goat literally went crazy. It was like $902
by a state senator.
By State Senator Brian Dahl, according to the Sacramento Bee. The little girl EL, became absolutely distraught. She had been raising this goat, hand feeding it, treating it like a pet, and decided somebody must have told her what the purpose and intent of a livestock auction is, because she lost her mind. So basically, her mom and her tried to back out of a contract for the sale of the goat. And what we have is the full faith and credit of the California Shasta County Sheriff's Department deciding to go on a goat hunt because Jessica and her kid took the goat from the fair. They forfeited their money. They offered to pay extra fees. They didn't want any money out of this deal.
Yeah.
And basically they just tried to take the goat away. And basically, as the story progressed, Kevin, they kind of felt like there was going to be trouble, so they sent the goat to another friend's house to
hid the goat,
try to hide it out. The Shasta County Sheriff's Department got a warrant issued for excuse me, guys. This kills me a little bit because there's a lot of effort that goes into this stuff. So the Shasta County Sheriff's Department tracks down a warrant, gets a warrant to go get this goat from Jessica Long and her daughter.
200 miles away.
Yeah. No, they weren't 500 miles away. They had moved the goat. They got a warrant for Jessica's property. Then they just find out where the goat is somehow through excellent police work. Go and get it off of a property not listed in the warrant and seize the goat. They just wanted to teach the kid a lesson about your obligations in a civil contract. And
that's the rules. You got to know, that if the goat's up for auction, like how will kids learn that they need to respect the rules and respect the law?
They threatened to prosecute him for grand larceny because it was over $900
for the goat.
I'm flabbergasted by this.
It says that. This is from the folks please understand the fair industry is set up to teach our youth responsibility, and for the future generations, ranchers, farmers will learn the process effort it takes to raise quality meat. Make an exception for you will only teach our youth that they do not have to abide by the rules set up for all participants. Well, I mean, they sold the goat in the auction. They decided to back out. The senator was like, yeah, whatever. I don't care. Was not all that concerned about not getting the goat. And
he was not upset at all, basically. I mean, he's a politician. He's not going to be like, yeah, give me that goat. I want to eat it.
I'm gonna kill this little girl's goat like that.
He's gonna play the odds on that. Let's be honest. But he's gonna play the populist take.
Yeah,
and so he was just like, he was cool about it. But Kevin, I got really bad news. Nobody really knows what happened to Cedar after the cops seized it. They have no idea. They lost the goat. Like they ostensibly, assumably, it has been consumed as someone's dinner, but they have no record of. They didn't transfer it to the senator. They went and got it, and they didn't keep track of it after that.
Who ate the stolen goat?
It's been alleged that the Shasta County Sheriff's Department had a barbecue. But that's just on Twitter, guys.
Yeah, right.
Not necessarily
a notoriously reliable source, Twitter.
They are.
And yeah, so I mean, my whole take on this is, this is a lot of resources.
It is.
It's like they went a lot of effort. I'm sure there's some murders or something that could be solved in California. They spent a lot of time, effort, money getting a goat back too. Okay, I get the thing about responsibility, sure, but that should be a lesson from the parents, right? Like that is for them to do. If everyone else agrees, okay, like we're going to cancel the sale of this goat, we're going to cancel the auction of the goat, and everyone's fine with it, let it be. Like, if they even offered to pay the money, like the fair is supposed to take like 7% or something. Like, all right, we'll pay the 7%, whatever.
Yeah,
so they pay the fee, they get their money, like, and then the parents can figure out whether or not this is a bad lesson of responsibility, chalked up with the kid who commits to karate lessons and decides not to do it. Whatever, right? Like, does the state need to intervene in those cases? No, you signed a contract. You said you were going to show up for 8 weeks. You're going to show up for 8 weeks. No, don't get the state involved.
The contract was with a 9-year-old girl.
Right.
9-year-old kids under 18 cannot actually sign contracts. So I'm not sure, had they let this play out in court, because this was civil litigation at its best. Had they played this out in court to teach this young lady a lesson, Cedar would still be alive.
Right.
And that's important. It should have played out in the civil court, but then no one was going to sue them. So the police stepped in and made things right.
Right. Yeah. Just fixed everything, made everyone trust the police, and taught a valuable lesson to a little girl. Thanks, police.
We're gonna go get the goat.
Yeah,
I don't know, man.
All right. Well, on that note, though, we do have to head to break. Thanks again for joining us here on A Free Solution. We're gonna be back in just a few minutes. Talk to you soon. All right. On break. Yeah. Hang on. So
I saw you struggling there, so I tried to vamp a little extra.
Yeah, no, excuse me while I just pass out over here. It's fine. No, but so I guess we could jump into some of the other stuff in a minute. Maybe we could talk about we're burning through topics. We'll talk about the beer thing at the end.
I want to.
I know you want to show off your new beer, the MK Ultra. I love it. No.
Yeah. So what do we got? We got to take. I've got a few things that I can go off on. We could talk about this McDonald's deal.
McDonald's deal. I don't know what that is.
McDonald's is laying off a pretty high number of their corporate employees.
You've piqued Brian's interest. I want to hear about the beer. MK Ultra.
Oh, we'll get there. And then we could talk about. We've definitely got to talk about the Twitter and labeling NPR as state-affiliated media.
Yeah, I'll talk about
I do like that conversation. I'm going to kind of go down that road of. I feel like occasionally they seem to lean to a certain side of the aisle. Oh,
yeah.
We could talk about If we get to it, we could talk about this whole Joe Biden fiasco. I don't know if you caught it.
Joe Biden or Joe Biden?
Joe invited the NCAA women's champions, the LSU Tigers, to the White House, and at the same time invited the losers to the White House. In an unprecedented move, she decided to take, and it created a kerfuffle with one of the more famous LSU players. Angel Reese seemed to have a problem with it.
And winner's supposed to go there. Come on.
What's that? Well, not everybody gets a trophy, Kevin. You millennials.
I mean millennials anyway. They're like young Gen Z.
They're like the boomers. The millennials and the boomers are like closely related.
And millennials are old now. They're like I'm like a middle-aged millennial in my 30s, kids, steady job.
Yeah, and you want a trophy.
Yeah, I do. I got a participation trophy every time, and I expect it at work. I expect you guys to send me participation trophies.
You're gonna have to be talking to yourself in the mirror with your self-employment. You'll be like, "You're the greatest, buddy. You're the greatest. Get out there and kick that soccer ball." I'm
gonna make myself employee of the month.
You every month.
Every month.
You could have an employee of the day and win it every single day.
Good. I'm gonna buy there's a trophy store down the street. I'm gonna get some.
Nice. See, that's the thing about urban centers. You got a trophy store, like down the street. We have to find somebody who has like a trophy making ability in their garage. Works out.
Out in the country, got to make your own.
That's right. All right. So when we come back, I think we should do a redux on the Twitter thing, kind of hash it out, talk about what's going on over there at Twitter. I had an epic April Fool's joke that I played on Twitter. I want to talk about it on the radio a little bit just so that I get a couple more followers. It was, oh my God, it was so funny. It was so funny, Kevin.
All right, fine. So what we'll do Twitter next. Leave your other comments here on the live stream, and then maybe we'll do the other local news item and then talk about beers.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So we're going to go back in, I don't know, like 20 seconds or so. Oh, man, I have to do math. 28 plus 15. 42? No, 43. All right. Back in 10. I'm going to cut all this too. I cut. Welcome back to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host for today, joined by Tim the Freedom Barian O'Connor.
I'm here, Kevin, and I'm having a blast. I'm still upset about the goat thing, but I'll get over it. We've got more important issues to cover. Let's be honest, right? Like one goat getting barbecued by a bunch of cops out in a California county. Nothing for us to worry about other than an incredible waste of resources for what should have been a civil matter and argued out in civil court. But no one would have argued over it. So that's fine. But big news stuff. Twitter kind of labeling, they're doing some stuff with the blue checks, which I like. They took away New York Times blue check because New York Times refuses to pay the $8 a month. I think that's hilarious. I know financially times are tough for the New York Times, but they ought to be able to pay the $8.
Well, it doesn't mean anything anymore, right? Like it doesn't matter. It doesn't verify anything. It just verifies that you paid $8.
I bet you get the edit function, which honestly, I had some tweets pop off and I looked at my spelling and I'm like, oh my God, man. Like it would have been so much better if I spelled everything right.
If you want to do, I mean, like, because there's a news organization like Checkmark that they could give them and to verify that is the legit New York Times making those statements, making those tweets. And I don't know, it's petty. It's kind of dumb. Also, I still have a blue check for some reason because they decided to change it to this person is either a legacy verified account or they pay for whatever is Twitter Blue.
Well, Cat Turd 2 got legacy verified and doesn't have to pay the $8. To be fair, Cat Turd 2 is more accurate and less political than the New York Times. So
Oh, I saw your tweet about that. I physically rolled my eyes at that.
I love it. I know that there are people out there rolling their eyes, and I know there are people out there laughing, and it's just Twitter is I don't know. They're going to take away my polling option on April 15th, so I got to get some polls out there in the meantime.
That, which is also silly. The polls are fun.
They are. They'll bring them back. They'll bring them back. They'll give me a legacy check mark.
Yeah.
What? I never.
Wait, are the check marks still going to have polls?
Yeah, check marks.
Oh, I could do polls. All right,
you're gonna have to let me.
I'm gonna do it just to flaunt it over you. Just like, look at me and my legacy check.
So one of the things that they did that I think can be controversial, and NPR guys is they don't actually get a lot of funding from the government. They get less than 1% of their funding from the federal government, and somewhere around 10% from governmental agencies. Of their 10% of their funding comes from non-federal government agencies. So they do that. That's not an insubstantial amount of revenue, but Twitter and Elon Musk always looking to kind of. I think he's a little gamesmanshipy kind of guy. Like, so he basically puts it out there that NPR is state affiliated media like the BBC, and NPR seems to be upset over that. What do you think, Kevin?
They are very mad about it, in it being inaccurate for the reasons that you said, because they only get a small amount of funding from the federal government, it's 1%, whatever. But like their headline is Twitter labels NPR's accounts as state affiliated media, which is untrue. And that they say they have journalistic independence from the states in a way that outlets like RT do not, or whatever the Chinese newspapers, People's Daily.
Right, and the Russian,
place like Sputnik too, and so who like there is a lot of legitimate state pressure on those outlets to not report stories critical of the state there in a way that is certainly less true of NPR, even if I'm sometimes critical of their editorial decisions.
I am occasionally. I'm not occasionally. I'm reasonably critical of NPR. I can put search words in for NPR Biden and then put search words in NPR Trump, and you can see a distinct difference in the quality, caliber, and allegations made in each story. Because
search results for Gary Johnson, no results found, and
right, exactly, no results found. Like you could, Joe Exotic, the next presidential guy coming from the Libertarian Party, nothing from NPR about that guy, nothing. And so I do feel as though they whether they get a lot of money from the government or not, I do feel that they lean what I would call towards the Democratic side of things. I do think that they do a pretty decent job of presenting factual news stories, but their opinion pieces, from what I've seen, they find like conservative morons, right, to kind of back up a conservative side, and they say something really dumb, and then they just have a lot of opinion that comes from the Democratic side. Now, guys, that I'm basically telling you that that's all a scam being run on you every single day of the week, that they're basically serving a system both sides of the aisle, and it's like it is. Kevin laughs when I say this, but it's like bread and circuses a little bit. They give us something to fight over. They give us something to pick on each other about. And they actually like crave this identity politics of us identifying as, a conservative or identifying as a liberal, and that we base a piece of our personality on that. And they make money off of that. So I think NPR to me comes off as like 80-20, leaning blue.
Yeah, I think that's fair. They seem to treat things differently in a partisan manner. And it's kind of subtle for like if you're a center. So if you're a right winger, you're gonna feel like it's pretty biased. And then the left wingers, for their part, think that NPR is biased towards the status quo and mainstream Democrats.
That's fair.
Which I think is kind of accurate. But like how it ends up happening, right? How like the way in which they're biased in the subtle manners is like the stories that they choose to promote and focus on in, their different like promotional efforts. So they could do another story on climate change and how things are getting worse, or they could do a story on a new report that came out that said that the massive spending that happened under the COVID bills contributed significantly to inflation. Which one do they choose to promote? Well, they'll do the climate change story, right? Like that's like how, to me, their bias works. And I can see it like I see what you chose to report on versus not report on. And even if everything is like factual within that story, the things you choose to dwell on fit a narrative that aligns with mainstream Democratic policies more than centrist or neutral viewpoints.
That's a really complicated way of saying, but also accurate, right? Like that's kind of one of the things we try to do is present the most accurate take on these things that we can. So in a way, Elon Musk's gamesmanship knows no bounds, and basically he's got NPR advertising for him. He's not unlike Trump that way, if you think about it.
I mean, this is going to advertise like my hot take on the situation is literally no one's going to change their minds over this.
Right.
Like in terms of like how people perceive NPR, the people who liked NPR before are not going to change their mind. They're going to continue liking NPR. No one's like looking at like the state affiliated media tag and go like, oh, well, now I guess I don't know if I could trust them. 0 people are doing that. And the people who like already didn't like them, they're going to be like, told you so.
Yeah, and you might get a couple of like tire kickers now, right? Who are going to say, well, you know what? I haven't listened to NPR in a while. I'm going to go check them out. And then maybe they pick up a listener. Maybe your biases or your understanding of what NPR is gets confirmed, and you either stick with them, go back to them, or move on to guys like Kevin and Tim.
Yeah, hopefully. Just listen to our show. That's really the takeaway you should get from all this. But the only thing that might actually affect them is if the state affiliated media stuff does affect their ability to like promote their tweets or for stuff to get seen. If it gets demoted in people's feeds, then that does actually affect things a bit. But
yeah, I kind of broke the algorithm on Twitter the other day. It was pretty fun. And I do want to point out that Elon Musk is manipulating the Dogecoin market. He took and changed the Twitter tweet bird to the Doge dog.
Yeah.
And instantly, like, Doge is up to like 9 cents a token.
And doesn't Elon Musk own a bunch of Dogecoin?
I wonder how much money he did make that day. Like, it was absolutely a stroke of
is this like a pump and dump opportunity?
We'll have to check unusual whales, guys. That's the other thing about Twitter. Twitter has unusual whales who, like, they actually go out of their way to report on suspicious trading activity. If you want a breakdown of how much money Nancy Pelosi made Q1 of this year, you should be able to find that on Unusual Whales.
They're really great, legit. If you haven't checked them out, they're on TikTok and they're on Twitter. Like, you can see like, oh, this person sits on this committee for agriculture and they're on a bill related to like this specific agricultural product. And coincidentally, before they made this massive regulation, they bought a ton of stock or they sold a ton of stock right before it tanked or right before it went way up.
Yeah.
Weird coincidence.
It's amazing. People like Martha Stewart went to jail for insider trading, and your representatives, our senators can all do things that are way more corrupt than what Martha Stewart did, and it's not considered illegal. They've exempted themselves from laws regarding insider trading because they have, according to them, they have no way of avoiding having special information. Therefore, we should be allowed to trade on it. And it's like,
there's absolutely a way to avoid that. You just require members of Congress to have a blind trust. So all you gotta do is like, you can make investments, but you are not able to directly control what individual stocks you can buy, sell, and trade. Like it's a pretty straightforward solution.
We wouldn't get the best of the best serving in the. It hurt me to say that. I couldn't even say the whole sentence with restrictions like that, Kevin.
Who would want to serve in Congress? That's the whole point, right?
with restrictions like that, we're not going to get the best people to work for us in Congress. Like, that's the reality. We can't restrict these people because they are the best of the best.
Yeah, that's it.
Hey, guys, that hurt me to say. I'm just presenting the argument from their side. That's all. That's all.
And everyone gets it, and suddenly they're like, "Oh, no, maybe we don't need this restriction." I don't know. It's pretty good.
I gotta tell the story. How much time do we got? I've got to
like
tell the
2.5
story
minutes
about how I broke the Twitter algorithm on April Fools. So basically, all I did was repost a meme that said taxation is compassion. And I said, we're all in this together. Taxes are compassion, concern, and caring. And because I generally have people that are interested in freedom and liberty and smaller government, it put my tweet in front of a bunch of people that lost their minds. I must have had, I don't know, 500 comments on it. I got over 105 likes. And Kevin,
did you do this on April Fools?
I did it on April Fools, and no one. Some people got it right away. Some people were like,
"It's April Fools." Just don't believe anything on social media. April 1st. The rest of the time, everything on social media is true. It's fine.
I'm like, roads are compassion, bro. I went out and took a picture of my road and showed it to everybody, and I told them how much I loved it. And it was a rainy day, and it looked like there's potholes everywhere, and there are potholes everywhere because I live on a road that has potholes, and I don't care. Oh my God. I mean, people lost their minds, and I would be so ridiculous that I thought they would have to figure out that I was gaming them. And some people even had people telling them, dude, it's April Fools. And they were just like, anarchy is better. And it was just an epic time. I had an hour, 2 hours to kill, and I just kept answering people back like a bootlicking state lover. And oh my God, the responses I got were great. A couple of people even went so far as to threaten me with the Second Amendment. They're like, guys like you are why we made the Second Amendment. And I'm like, whoa,
calm down, man.
And then they realized that they'd been had, and most of them deleted their kind of semi-threatening kind of tweets. But oh man, it was, guys, check it out at 10% on Twitter. I try to do some fun stuff. I'm not always engaged in Twitter, but occasionally it's like the Wild West again over there. It's fun. It's creative. People can have fun. You get supporters that back you. And guys, it's good natured. Facebook seems kind of like a little bit dead to me.
Yeah. I found it. Like Tim's not kidding. I'm going to share the one with the Dear Road. Thank you for your service in a benevolent government that graciously provides.
Yeah, man. It was beautiful.
You're thanking roads, and people are still like, statist.
It's because of guys like you. And I'm like, oh my God. Oh, thank you for sharing that. That's great.
Yeah. That's too good not to share. I can't believe I was out at like a child's birthday party, spending time with my family and stuff.
Good for you.
Doing that stuff. All right. But on that note, we have to go to break. Thanks again for joining us here on A Free Solution. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Talk to you soon. Got a nice crack there at the end. We'll be back.
We'll be back.
This is dying, yeah.
In just a minute. Sell Dode. Buy bourbon and beer. I've been wondering if we could come up with an exchange rate of, like, let's say I need shotgun shells. How many eggs will I be able to exchange for shotgun shells? Because honestly, the currency's collapsing, bro.
All right, so start stocking up on eggs or shotgun shells or both. I don't know. I'm gonna do both.
I don't know. I know there was somebody worked out eventually it'll be one cigarette for one ammo kind of thing.
Oh yeah. Well, it's great. Andrew Heaton story about the economics of the zombie apocalypse.
Oh, cool.
That was going rate at the time in that story.
That's where I got it from you and that. Yeah. Okay. 1 dozen eggs, 1 ounce of gold. That I don't honestly.
And if someone's willing to give me that, all right.
I mean, I'm gonna get chickens. I'm actually gonna work this out. I'm gonna start raising chickens.
But how much is gold really going to be worth in the apocalypse? Like, is it that use? Are people going to use it as a medium of exchange? I don't know.
Yeah, what's its value as a medium of exchange other than it's rare right now and a durable metal? I've never quite gotten there.
Yeah, I know. But John pointing out, price of eggs is way down. Yeah, it did drop down. It turns out that the corporations are now feeling benevolent again. They were feeling greedy for a minute, and now they decided to be generous once again and no longer take profits. Thank you, corporations, for just treating us well. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think it was because Joe Biden said you need to lower your egg prices.
Wagged his finger.
Jack.
Yeah.
The currencies of the future, will be ammo and bathtub gin. I actually think I would be effective at making alcohol.
That's fair. I've tried to make alcohol before. It probably was actually alcoholic. I did explode some beer bottles trying to make cider once.
Nice. That's awesome.
Just oversugared it a bit. I was like, oh yeah, like I'm gonna like take all this like pressed apple and I'm gonna add like a bunch of honey to it on top of the sugars there in the apple and then seal the bottle. Yeah, it turns out that caused problems.
There's a whole process. You've actually got to let it ferment its way to a certain point.
Yeah.
Without it getting any air into it and only letting gas out of it. They have neat little tools for it.
Yeah, you got a little bubbler.
Bubbling aerator thing.
Yeah.
And if you get one of those, you can end up with some, honestly, I think it gets to like, I don't know, 45, 50 proof. I've drank it and it's like 1 cup and you're like, wow. Like homemade cider, not like the fake stuff you get in a bottled beer bottle. Like when your buddy makes it down the road, it's really high proof.
Shh, don't tell the ATF. But we should go back to the show.
Yeah.
Before I pass out. And we'll talk about the drag queen story hour stuff. Then we'll talk about beer.
Yeah, well, drag queen and beer. That'll fill out the last section.
Yeah. So we get to some of that and we'll get that in just a second. Welcome back to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host for today, joined by Tim, the Freedom Variant O'Connor.
Still here. Still here. And look, guys, I think Kevin and I have gotten to the bottom of some things in the past that I thought were important to cover. The cat litter things in the bathroom and where they get you. They use identity politics. They make you afraid of things that aren't real. And then they throw them in your face and they make you angry. And I think we got in a situation in Rochester where we've got some people reacting to a drag queen story hour that's actually causing the town government or the village government to kind of act like jerks. What do you think? Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, I think that the town may be going a little bit too far here, but we'll give some background on it. There's a group that wants to host a drag queen story hour in a public community space in Pittsford, New York, and that caused some controversy. The town is now saying that they have to pay $8,500 for security for the event, something that is not normally charged to folks who are trying to use that space. And it's over a drag queen story hour thing. It is controversial. Some people don't like it.
I'm sympathetic to both sides of this here because let's just say what it looks like and what the media is doing with drag queens right now and what the left is doing with drag queens right now is forcing them down people's throats. Now, a drag queen story hour, there are people that live different lifestyles than the rest of us. If you want to take your kid to a story hour where a guy dressed up as a girl reads stories, fine. Drag has been going on for generations and generations as part of a theater. Like, I don't necessarily I'm not saying that you have to participate in it or that you have to take your kids to things like this, but that's what it feels like the media is saying. And that's what it feels like the left is coming at you with. And guys, there are atrocious things out there being done in the name of drag shows. And there are some cherry picked photographs that are disgusting.
Yeah, there's some people who are being gross and inappropriate, right? Like that. Sure. That's the thing. That's not what's happening most of the time. And I'll say, like, it's not really my thing. I wouldn't necessarily go out of the way to bring my son to it or anything, but I also wouldn't necessarily avoid it either. I'm kind of neutral on the subject.
Kind of depends on what story they're reading.
You know what
I mean? Like,
yeah, that too. There's some like lefty stories I don't particularly care for.
Right. If you're reading The Hobbit or something like that, I would be like, yeah, my kid can listen to a half hour of that.
Yeah. Now I do think, like, in terms of like the leftist push says that you know why I think some of these are popping up? Because I think it makes conservatives mad. I think that's why the left does it sometimes. Like, sometimes, like, oh, if you don't like this, like, then this is what we're fighting for, so we're going to do this even harder now. And like, like, oh, all right, like, sure. I mean, it becomes like a big cultural war issue, and I'm just kind of.
Yeah, I think that it's at the heart of identity politics. It's the heart of division. And then it's going to make some ostensibly conservative jerk do something violent, and they're going to use that against the rest of you conservatives because you're already like, it's this standard playbook where I wonder if you didn't react to, and look, man, like calling drag queens pedos, like that's not a proper reaction, okay? Because none of them probably are, not all of them. There are pedophiles. They are out there. They're separate. Like, I don't know how to explain this, where they take advantage. They link two things together that ostensibly makes you angry, and then they throw it in your face. I don't know that the response is right. I'm trying to get you guys to calm down, I guess.
No, yeah, it's a way overreaction, and again, not every drag queen, and probably not 99.99% of the folks who do that are doing anything inappropriate with children. There's a handful who are, but in terms of like pedophiles, there are lots of folks, unfortunately, who work with children, teachers, members of the church leadership, and others who do inappropriate things. We don't like say that no, children should never have contact with teachers or coaches or church leadership ever, because some people do those bad things. And if it's not your thing, then you shouldn't have to go to it. Like, I get people get weird about, like, oh, this is the thing that happened in school, and I don't know if I want to like have this at my child's school without me talking to them about it. I kind of get that.
I get it, man. I do get it. I totally get it.
But this is a community event. This isn't like a thing that they're having at the school, which is, again, a different discussion, I think, than what's happening here. And to respond to this Facebook user, is it voluntary? Who cares, right? Like, it's voluntary. No one's being forced to go to this thing. It's just a public event. And Patty says, Robin Williams dressed as Mrs. Doubtfire reading to my kids is fine, right? Like, some folks, like, it's just a thing. It's part of a performance. If that's your cup of tea, cool. If it's not, like, whatever, right? Like, just don't, you let people do their thing. And so now, like, the way Pittsford is responding is essentially, well, this is a public space. We have to, like, make sure that we don't have anything too disruptive. They said they talked to the county sheriff's department about security, which the sheriff's department said they did, and that's why they came up with the $8,500 number to provide protection. But the sheriff's department said, no, we didn't do that. We don't give that kind of advice out. So they're kind of caught in a strange situation.
They have to tell the truth, and they're like, we didn't really do that. So
yeah. And so, yeah, like it's a strange situation, and it looks like they might be putting stricter rules on using public spaces in response to this. Like, this is before they change the rules, but it says there's going to be new prohibitions against events that may disrupt in any way town staff, patrons, or other building users. And any activity that clearly can be construed as obscene or inappropriate. I think there's a lot of leeway there, and it's going to be used to shut down whatever the political preferences of the people in power are. Now, the Republicans have to be in charge in Pittsford specifically at this time. It could easily flip to Democrats. It's a pretty split town. And so suddenly you take these rules and you apply them and you say, now we can no longer hold a discussion on the Second Amendment at, these public spaces because these rules apply. Anytime you create a rule like this, anytime you create these types of restrictions, think of what happens when someone you don't like is in power and feels emboldened to use them.
The problem with that is that everybody goes, yeah, let's get my guy in power. We will use that against them. And guys, that's the wrong approach. We've been trying to say this for years, and it used to be everybody used to say it when I was a kid. Like, when you make rules like that, you can't be surprised when they get used against you. And now it's like, yeah, we'll get those rules and we'll get our guy in power, and that's going to be the way we win this thing. It's like, stop, man. Stop thinking that the power to punish your enemies is the power that you want, because then when they punish you, what are you left with? Nothing but trouble.
All you got to do is just keep winning forever and everything's going to be fine, right?
That's why everybody argues. They think that they're going to, I don't know. I get a little frustrated with people not realizing that giving rule makers power, executive power, autocratic power to punish your enemies is giving them automatic power to punish you and your kids. And so, and look, man, they play us like a fiddle. The identity politics of every situation. It's been amazing to me to see the growth and the anger associated with identity politics. And I want to stand here and stand against it. If the one thing that I can be known for is standing against this emotional overreaction that grants authority to a central power. How's that? Fair?
Yeah, 100%. I definitely agree. And, for the most part, the state should stay out of this stuff. Don't try to exercise power over people in these situations. And a lot of these cultural battles that end up being over, like, how you express yourself. And as long as you're doing so without hurting people or taking their stuff, I don't care. Fine, do your thing. It's fine.
I'm even happy for, do your thing. Be you. Do your religious thing. Do your drag thing, man. Yeah. Don't, I'll listen to either and both of you at the same time, and we can drink beers on my boat. I don't care. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I know people will come back, but the left, they attack Christians and whatnot. Yeah, no, I don't always like that either.
I don't like it. I'll stand with Christians on the left are attacking them. I think that there's a valid discussion to talk about whether you're an atheist or not, whether Christian philosophy has benefited the world, and the left uses solipsism and myopia to dismantle religious arguments. It's a philosophy for me. So right. I don't know. I'm a philosopher, Kevin. You know that.
Yeah, of course. But right, speaking of folks getting mad, because we only have a couple minutes, folks getting mad over identity, culture war issues. Yeah, you got your beer, your MK Ultra. You're no longer drinking Bud Light.
No, I switched to MK Ultra. You can pick it up at your local ATF convenience store, by the way. It's stocked in every single one of them.
Yeah, this produced in Langley, right? That's.
Mm-hmm. So look, guys, what happened is Bud Light decided to go woke, okay? And we should do a show on
I think they've already been doing this for years, actually. Right. Like, I think it's the thing.
Well, but what they did was give $1 million, which, guys, is like nothing anymore. It's like pocket change. Yeah. To a TikTok star who happens to be a transgendered individual. and the hilarious part of it is, one of the best jokes I've seen out of it is that a man pretending to be a woman is being sponsored by a beer pretending to be a beer. Wait, I don't know. A drink pretending to be a beer. Which, guys, is kind of insulting. I don't know if this, they say, a lot of people are saying that this Dylan Mulvaney, I think his name is like spoofing on transgenders, perhaps, or takes the worst things about femininity that feminists don't like and laughs at them and is like mocking it. And so I haven't seen any of his, I'm on TikTok, I haven't seen any of his stuff, but
I have no idea. I had no idea who this person was.
Yeah, me neither, man. I
do not know. And in fact, I did not hear anything about this until like Kid Rock like shot up a case of Bud Light. Like that was
What's he thinking, man? And then some guy in a Ford drove over a Bud Light and drove past a Coors Light, and it's like Ford's participating in the ESG narrative and the go woke kind of thing, and so is Coors Light. So you don't really have a lot of options here if you want to drink cheap, not tasteful, not locally harvested grown beer. You're going to be participating in what people are calling the woke agenda. And some parts of it, it doesn't bother me. I don't know. I
don't really care.
I like Kid Rock too. I like Kid Rock's music. I don't know why he shot up like 330 packs with it. I don't know what he had, but it was a heck of a gun, man, because he was having a hard time keeping it on aim. So whatever it was fully automatic, and it was spraying bullets all over the place.
I know. Like I know that this happens every couple of years and stuff, right? Like at one point in time, people were smashing like Keurigs and burning Nikes and like this. I don't know.
Carhartts was like last year, I think. They were like taking the tags off their Carhartts and mailing them back to Carhartt. It's like,
all right.
I don't
get it. Well, you already have the product. Like Kid Rock had to go out and like buy beer and pay Bud Light money to like pull this stunt. Like, all right, maybe you already had it. I don't know.
I don't know either, man. I
know for me, like I don't drink Bud Light. I don't. Again, I also do not care about this. I wouldn't care if any other breweries did that. I'd be mildly supportive of it, perhaps, depending on the situation. I have no idea who Dylan Mulvaney is.
I think that's his name. I could have his name wrong. I know his first name is Dylan, spelled with a Y. Dylan. That's what I think.
I have no idea who this
He's a real American hero, Kevin.
Sure.
But like the old advertising slogans. Oh, I got you with that one. So that's probably enough about that situation, but I don't know how much time we got left in the show because there's one more thing I want
to. We have basically no time, so we are going to have to save that for after the radio show.
All right.
So, folks, if you want to keep listening, and you're listening on WYSL, you'll have to go find the podcast or find the Free Solution YouTube page, Facebook page, Kevin or Tim Twitter accounts and Facebook pages. It's all over there. Find it at one of those places. You can see the full show. But thanks again for joining us here on A Free Solution. We are done with the show. Have a great night, folks. Take care. All right. So what's your thing?
All right. So one of the things is that we've long talked about the problems with minimum wage laws. And so what we have now is McDonald's announcing a bunch of layoffs, and we have people backfilling for McDonald's saying these layoffs are not because of the increase in minimum wage. And I'm like, I think that we're seeing a lot of layoffs and a lot of employee contractions. And I don't know that making the case about an arbitrary number picked by the government to pay their low-end employees or their frontline employees, however you want to call that. I think the case can be made that we're seeing what's a natural progression here of arbitrarily set pricing. Politically set. It's not arbitrary. Yeah. It's politically expedient.
It's politically set. Yeah, I mean that's funny. It's breaking down in a lot of ways, at least at the federal level, right? And that's
and also when we talk about McDonald's, we get to talk about. I actually made a meme myself that was actually pretty popular on Twitter, and I want to read you the context of it. When we get into the FDA and the USDA, what they've actually done, their minimum requirements for what McDonald's gets to serve as food has actually, and so my question was, what does the FDA do to ensure McDonald's serves quality food? The answer is nothing. The FDA sets minimum requirements for food quality that effectively allows McDonald's to serve government-approved garbage. And we hear stories, and I've read stories, and we all know this to be true, that the FDA allows for certain percentages of bug parts, certain percentages of unidentified protein to be in their meat. And so to save money, McDonald's goes to lung tissue and goes to other things that normally get thrown away
I had McDonald's twice over the weekend, so
I shouldn't. I look. You got to eat it every once in a while, but
dude, that's what's available on. It's no longer available on the New York State Thruway. It's not a thing anymore. But I was in Massachusetts, so and that's what they have on their turnpike or whatever it is.
I don't even know if it's food, Cody. To be honest with you, Cody Anderson. Maybe it's because they have shitty food. I don't even know if it's food. It's just whatever. I think we're seeing a contraction in. I do think that arbitrarily set minimum wages are affecting companies' bottom lines. I think it took
No, they are right. And
here.
People are going to make rational economic decisions based on that, right? Like you increase minimum wage past a certain point, you either have to automate processes to like make sure like the low end employees, if you can't afford to hire them anymore, they don't produce enough value. You're going to automate it or hire higher wage employees who are going to be able to do the jobs of multiple like minimum wage employees. And I know some folks who like are labor advocates, like, that doesn't happen yet. It absolutely does. And I say this as someone who like worked in McDonald's and was one of those useless employees. Because I was 15, 16 at the time. And yeah, I know that the people who like work there and were supervisors could work a lot more effectively than me. It's just what it was.
Look, first of all, automation in certain areas, like down the road, if McDonald's even survives, right, they're going to be like one guy working, feeding the robots, making the burgers, and you're just going to pick like on Star Trek where the door comes up and your food is there. That's what McDonald's is going to be like. Because
for the replicators, man.
The replicators. If they could get to the replicator fast enough, that's exactly what McDonald's would do. Because that's the inevitability of big business, right? Like the more they can robot their way out of obligations, they're going to robot their way out of obligations.
Sure. I mean, if you look at a place like Starbucks, most of their sandwiches, they just like put them in like a special microwave that they have, and that's what it is, and it's fine. And McDonald's tries to get everything down to like that process too, so it's sort of fresh, but also like it's a micro little factory for burgers. It's what it is.
Yeah. I mean,
it's fine. Like it is what it is, right? Like I don't really turn my nose up at it. Other than the fact, like whenever I eat it, I'm always like, I don't feel good about this. Like it tasted good, but I don't feel good.
It's something
every single time I do it. And
you can go to other places and spend less money and get real food from, you know, McDonald's is already serving bugs. Klaus Schwab badge earned. Thank you, Cody.
Hey man, if you can make a cricket burger tasty enough, fine, whatever, man. I'll eat your cricket burgers.
No, I mean, look, I don't see me eating bugs, but like, if Kevin says, "Look, we're gonna have cricket burgers," I'll make you beef burgers. I'm like, no, I'll eat a cricket burger, Kevin. Like, whatever. It better not be disgusting, or I'm gonna go to McDonald's afterwards. I don't know, like
there's only 5% bugs in those, and that's my limit.
That's the thing, right? Like that's the scam. Like they close down delis and stuff like that, and they're like, McDonald's is open. It's great. Don't worry. Just a drive-through, though. It's like, well, what if you don't have a drive-through? Your business has to be closed. Like we do these things, and I guess we're all not surprised at all, right? That these things prop up big business, and by we, I mean the government response to things, the government's regulations. I don't know. It just makes my head go around and around in circles.
Yeah, I want to get to some of these comments because I've been trying to educate myself on this a little bit more. The food quality in Europe is better in all fast food, and saying that it's totally different in Europe. I mean, it does taste a little bit different. USA allows 40 chemicals. Other countries call poison. It's a little bit mixed, right? Like the truth is that there are some things that like the EU and other countries don't allow for use in their food. But then there are things that like we don't allow that they do allow. The EU is not a good model for regulation in either sense. They're heavily regulated, sometimes in silly ways, sometimes in sensible ways. Like they're better on baby formula than the US is.
Right.
Like they allow a little bit of a easier regimen to create and produce baby formula relative to the United States. But some of the food things, it's like it's tit for tat in terms of what they allow that makes sense and what they allow that's just, silly in some of these situations. Some of it's like misunderstanding about studies, like the countries that pass some of like the GMO legislation. Like I'm not against GMO stuff. Like I'm actually fine with it because I'm a terrible capitalist who thinks that we should have more food for everyone. But it's just me.
No, it's not just you. Like the issue is that if people are where we've failed is we have beef and meat products coming in from other countries, and people don't have the right to know that. We get this made in the USA label. We have no idea where that protein was actually sourced because the meat was processed in the USA. Therefore, we get this label of made in the USA. And it's our government sold a regulation to a big business to prop up a big business and bullshit all of us. And it's like,
right.
If we could just have honesty instead of coffers filled for lying.
Yeah, some of that stuff, right? Like exactly like that feels deceptive to me, right? If it's important to me that my food was raised on American soil, either for nationalism reasons or economic reasons or for safety reasons, then I should have a right to know that and be able to figure out the source like relatively easily. It feels deceptive if that food was raised with practices that are unclear to me in, wherever. And it was shipped over to the US and then it gets labeled as like, produced in the USA because it was processed here. Well, yeah, like I don't like that. And I know that's if that type of stuff is happening, I don't like it. I buy all my beef from like a farmer, but
me too. Me too. And Cody and I actually split a half of a cow or a quarter of a cow.
nice.
I think I got another one ordered. I'm not sure. But it's I'm dealing with a farm guy. It's like,
Cody says GMO food has been around forever. Most is harmless. Most food is GMO. Like most of it's been modified. It's just like in slower ways. Like bananas, GMO, corn, all GMO. Like it's just modified over time. But he goes on to say, Cody on Facebook, some like Starlink corn is not. I have no idea what Starlink corn is.
Actually, neither do I. But Cody
he might be making a joke. I don't know.
It could be an Elon Musk reference. I don't know. Cody will have to tell us. One of the things that I'm impressed with the genetically modified lettuce that I eat is that it does not rot as fast as lettuce used to rot. Like you used to take a piece of lettuce off of your iceberg lettuce that you bought, and the next day that head of lettuce would be rotten. It would just
acts
be
as
done.
a pest.
And now it's like it lasts for weeks. It's awesome.
I mean, and part of that too is like grocery stores have kind of gotten better at like processing and storing food in a way.
I thought it was genetically modified.
It might be in some cases. I mean, and sometimes it is like tomatoes, right? Like they're made to be like stored for a long time now. So you get some of the beefsteak tomatoes that taste like garbage, but they'll like look decent on a shelf for 3 months or something ridiculous. And then you got the ones in your garden, like the butt ugly, like what's it like the black Cherokee tomatoes. If you ever had one of those, and they're ugly black, like wrinkled tomatoes that last very little time, but they are so good. They are the best tomatoes I've ever had.
Delicious.
But not great for a grocery store. And even like the versions that they try to put in grocery stores as heirloom tomatoes don't match up to like the stuff that I'm able to get out of my garden. Starlink is a pest-resistant corn that Monsanto developed. It also kills monarch butterflies. I did look it up while we were talking, and yeah, no, it's got like a protein in it that acts as a pesticide. So
wow, that's amazing.
Maybe. I mean, listen, I don't know. I don't remember a bunch about this one. Maybe it's okay, maybe it's not. I'd be skeptical of it. I think it's fair to be.
I'm gonna go ahead and stay away from Starlink corn. I think. Yeah,
but it's probably in taco shells and stuff. It's what it says.
Oh, great. My weakness for Taco Bell, which I know is probably got the same standards as McDonald's, and it's the same kind of garbage, but I still gotta eat it every once in a while. I love it.
Oh, it's so good. I don't even care. I feel good after Taco Bell, unlike McDonald's. I'm like, yes, this is the right decision. I have had a gallon of Baja Blast and like an unreasonable number of tacos. I feel great. Brings me back to high school.
I don't know. Taco Bell has got me. And sure, I like Moe's a little bit better, and I like Chipotle even better. But like Taco Bell has a drive-through, man.
Yeah, I know they have a nice drive-through. I know their food is trash. You can save your comments.
Yeah,
I like it.
I like it. That's it, and it doesn't make me feel sick.
Yeah, that's what it is.
McDonald's does make me feel sick when I eat it. I try to avoid that place. Like
I don't know why. Like I think it's gonna be all right. Like I had it like both times this weekend. Is like this is the only spot, and we need to like change my kid's diaper. And that was the only thing that's open. Is like I either go to the convenience store or McDonald's. I hadn't eaten anything for like 6 hours.
Yep.
And I've been driving that entire time. Like
yeah. Kids, honestly, if I didn't have kids, I would probably never have eaten at McDonald's ever.
Yeah, same. We probably would have taken more time and stopped somewhere nice or whatever. But no, that's.
So the IRS paid a visit to Matt Taibbi.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. Wow. While he was testifying at Congress, just like coincidentally show up at his house.
Coincidentally.
While he's exposing the FBI payments to Twitter for the IRS, just coincidentally shows up at his house. Just amazing amounts of coincidence. So that probably but before we go, probably did we talk about the LSU on air, that deal with Joe Biden saying, let's bring everybody to the White House?
I think you kind of mentioned it. I don't know if you had more to add to it.
Not really, other than now Angel Reese is like, well, because you said that, I'm not going anyway. She's like, not too bad. Now I'm mad.
Amen. But
you were gonna bring Iowa. We're gonna go to the Obamas, I guess. So something got said like you should. I don't know, man. I didn't catch all of it, and I've been listening to Glenn Beck, and he doesn't tell the truth. So I don't know.
You don't listen to Glenn Beck.
I do. He's really Kevin. He's really entertaining. Oh my God, it's so wound up. It's just.
It's good at what he does.
And look, man, what
he does is entertain. To be clear,
the dollar is going to collapse next week. I'm warning you.
Yeah, I put that in the title, and then we didn't end up talking about it.
But they're forming all sorts of alliances to trade in other currency other than the dollar.
Oh yeah, Brazil is starting to do some exchanges directly in the yuan.
How else we got left our aircraft carriers to back the value of the U.S. dollar? That's nebulous at best. Tenuous.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how that goes. I only like sort of read about some of those, and so I don't feel prepared to talk about it much. But
it's like digital currency by the end of the year, cashless society, all those things, right around the corner.
I'm not worried about digital currency. I'm trading eggs. That's this is my currency barter. Now.
I took all my good barter stuff to the scrap yard. I'm a little concerned.
Big mistake.
Man, it was like $500 I got though.
Well, that'll be great until it's a digital currency and the government just takes it away like that.
Oh, I'm terrified. Not really. I'm tired.
Yeah. Right enough. All right, we should call it a night. And Cody, cigarettes and MK Ultra will kill all the viruses. Pretty balm for good health.
I do what I can. I do what I can.
All right. Well, have a great night, folks. Take care.
Take care.